Good morning. It's Monday, and I am already off to a very, very hectic start. I dropped the laptop this morning, which is always awesome.
It still works?
Yeah, it does. It's functional. Well, I guess we'll see if the show goes on air. So last week, you were talking to me and the audience kind of about what it takes to be a successful salesperson in general. And today I'm actually doing something for the first time because Bill's out at a talk and he's not in the office today, but I'm actually interviewing for a producer position.
Oh.
So I'm a little bit nervous because I've never interviewed for a sales role before.
But
and
you're
I
going to
wanna
be the interviewee?
Yeah, I'm going to be the interviewer.
Oh, okay.
And so I wanted to talk to you about what I should be looking for in this person. And so, yeah, let's get to the bottom of two things. So the first one, what should be like the most important question that I ask this person? Like what am I looking for?
Man, I think there's a ton of important questions that you should ask this person.
We'll list them out. Let me take some notes.
The first really should be, what do they want to do? Where do they want to go? Because if you get somebody that doesn't necessarily want to be an insurance broker for a allotted amount of time, then that's right off the bat. You can find people, you ask them straightforward and they'll say they want to start their own business, and that's not really a fit in my mind, because if you want to start your own business, that means you're going to use this as like a jumping off point. So I would say find the people that really want to stay and have goals and plans for their future. And one of the things that, especially in any sales role, but especially ours, because I would not do this unless there was a income potential that far exceeds a lot of other things, because it's not that pleasant. It peaks and valleys, and I don't know, it's just really stressful. So I would say you make sure that person has a good goal to make a certain amount of money, and that it's not, it's got to be pretty high. I think people shoot for too little, so I would make sure that the goal is in excess of what a normal person would find reasonable. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So what else?
That's really just two questions.
So you said so many. Is it only two?
So I don't know. I would just kind of feel the person out and figure out, are they good at talking to people? Are they personable? Can they communicate? Honestly, I feel like I can tell a lot by the way a person looks, just their facial expressions.
Like how Amy Cuddy talks about
Who?
presence. Amy Cuddy?
Oh.
Is that her name? I always get Amy Cuddy and Lisa Cuddy confused.
I'm really bad at pop culture.
Is from House.
Are these TV series?
Lisa Cuddy, I think that's the one from House. Yeah, Amy Cuddy, she wrote a book called Presence, and she does a really interesting talk on power posing before interviews. And she did this study of two separate groups where she positioned them in different poses right before a interview where they picked up on zero social cues.
Yeah.
So she had one group standing in very, like, what she calls strong,
like something like
poses.
This.
Yeah, like power positions.
Yeah.
And then she had other people like hunched over, and then they went into an interview where the interviewer gave no social cues whatsoever, so they wouldn't really be sure how they did.
Yeah.
Because if someone's smiling and nodding their head, like, that they're in agreement with you, or they're understanding what you're saying.
Yeah.
But the interviewer didn't do that, and so within those two groups, they pulled them aside after the interview and they asked them, "How do you think you did?" And the people that were in the power poses before the interview, they thought that they did really well. And so is that kind of what you're talking about?
Kind of, but I think, I read something about that, and that's really interesting. But I'm talking about, like a facial expression, like they look like they can get stuff done. I don't know. That's just how I feel.
Okay.
Like if somebody, because at the end of the day, all they're doing is really communicating confidence to the buyer that eventually will trust them enough to sell.
And that's what we talked about last week. Is that confidence. Your buyer has to have confidence that you can get things done for them. Yeah,
and so if they have like a facial expression of determination, or they look like, they'll get something done. I don't.
Can I see your facial expression for determination?
I can't just put it on command. It's just got to be one of those things. I saw it when we were interviewing somebody that just started working here. I said, "Oh, she's going to be a good fit because she's got this determined kind of expression, and I guess nonverbal, the way you communicate, it just kind of looked to me like she would get it done. And I don't know how to explain it. That's just kind of the feeling I got. And it was,
yeah. Well, I wonder what you said about me when I first got hired. That'd be interesting. So my other question, because I said I wanted to get to the bottom of two things. I don't really know if we got to the bottom of that one, but
we went somewhere with it.
We went somewhere with it, yeah. But my second thing that I want to know, because this is the one that I'm actually really nervous about.
Okay.
If he asks me about this role, what he does within his daily job duties, what should I be prepared to tell him? Like, how do you set yourself up for a successful day?
Like in the morning, or
no, just like your whole day. Like what's your day look like?
So you got to plan it out, and every day is different. Do
you plan it out the night before?
Yes. So it's best to plan it out in the evening before you go to bed. That way you know what time you have to wake up and what you have to do. But every week and every day is different. So like today I have a lunch appointment with the client, so I couldn't work out at lunch. So I got to schedule my time and plan for it accordingly.
Is working out during the day something that helps you be a successful salesperson?
I think so.
Gets your aggression out?
Well, I think
frustration.
I think it definitely improves your mood, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters, because if you're in a crappy mood all the time, you're not going to make calls and you're not going to win any hearts and minds,
Maybe that's why I should start working out.
You don't?
In a bad mood. No. Oh gosh, no. I'm not always in a bad mood, so.
Just drink more coffee then.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Seems to help me.
I do that. Okay, so you prepare the night before. You look at your schedule and what you have going on throughout the day, and then you kind of.
I tailor it. You know, I kind of plan out what I have to do, and more importantly is the phone calls, the sales calls, or sales activities. Is when you know what you have to do for a day, you can plan and set blocks of time that you make sure you set aside, and don't allow anything to interrupt it, but just to make cold calls and just to make outbound prospecting through different channels. Cold calls, I think, are the best. But emails, cold calls, I guess social media.
Do you use social media?
Just to stalk people, so I can figure out
what does that mean? How do you stalk them?
So I'm looking them up to figure out what their role is, to kind of confirm whether or not I'm going after the right
personal social media account, not the company's.
I mean, if I can find the personal one, I will, but I usually just stick to LinkedIn.
Okay.
But you can get very detailed and go on Facebook and all this other stuff. I just don't have time for that for every single prospect. Doesn't make sense. But you could get real deep and maybe make some connections to something that they personally are interested in. I feel like that's a lot of work to do before you know if somebody's interested in what you have to offer. So I would rather find the people that are interested through targeted research about the company and specific things I could say, to kind of leverage, how we could help them. And then if you want to go in further, if it's a really good account, then you can look up, Facebook, all types of things.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say waste your time. I mean, honestly, you should be spending about 10 seconds to research a prospect while you're dialing the phone and while it's ringing, so that you have something to say when you get them on the phone. But the reality is you're probably not going to get them on the phone. So that's the whole thing. You make 10 calls to maybe get one person on the phone. And when you get that person on the phone, they say, I'm not interested, or I already have a broker, or I've been with my broker for 40 years, or my broker's my wife. That's what I get a lot. Like, my broker's a family member. I'm like, oh, so you're probably not switching this year.
Yeah, probably not. But so that's what ties into Bill Wodich's whole platform of activity rules success, right?
Yeah.
Because you need to call 10 people in order to get one person to even answer the phone.
And then you probably need to get 10 people on the line before you can actually get somebody that's possibly a sliver of interest.
So this guy coming in, how many cold calls should we hire him? How many cold calls should he expect to make a day?
I would say over 100 every single day, but I was hitting 200 at some, the better days.
How long does that take? Because I know nothing about sales.
Pretty much all day, yeah.
Okay.
And you could push 100 calls to go all day. You could spread out 100 calls. Have you ever heard of, there's two. I know Horstman's corollary is the opposite, but there's a theory that says you'll split an amount of work over a period of time. It will take the amount of time no matter what. So any work that you have, whatever the allotted time frame is, it's going to take that long. So if you say, I need to make 100 calls in 2 hours, then you probably do it. They might not be the best calls. You might not get any traction, but if you say, I need to make 100 calls over the day, you probably hit that too.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you give somebody an hour to do something, they'll just slow down the pace.
Yeah.
Or
No, I get what
speed
you're
it up.
saying.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's why you have to kind of be dialing and researching all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want to sit there, take a minute to figure out what a prospect is doing and all the information and input it in your Salesforce, and then you call them and there's nobody there, and you're like,
waste
whoops.
of time. Okay, well, activity does rule success, so I'm picking up what you're laying
That's
down.
what they say.
They. You said last week, know enough to be dangerous.
Yeah.
How have you prepared yourself to be dangerous this week?
As far as knowledge goes, I read a lot. I mean, I feel like I know it all at this point.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Chris Zender, everyone.
Yeah. No, but, I guess you kind of have to spend time over the weekend reading, learning. I read articles online about all of this, sales and I guess motivation and organization, all that.
Always forward.
You always be reading something or learning something. If you could read a book every night, 30 minutes, then it'll always keep your mindset kind of focused on what you want, so long as you're reading the right books.
And it's a good way to unplug at the end of the day, too, because, I mean, if you're anything like me, I'm just looking at a screen all day, whether it be my laptop or my phone, running around.
That's the problem with today's youth.
Yeah. Yep, that's the problem with us, Chris. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to say to the audience?
I don't know. Do we have more time?
Mm-hmm. We have all the time you want. You answered my questions. I'm ready to interview this guy now.
I mean, make sure the guy knows that he's going to be stuck in a room, doing nothing but taking rejection all day long. So
in a few months, he's going to be stuck in a room making money. So, right?
I mean, it's going to take like a year before I saw any returns. That's just the way it is.
Well, he has a year. He's got to beat you then.
Because insurance takes time to bill it, and we have to collect the premium over the year, so you don't see much return until... I didn't see any extra until a year.
Well, he better get started today then. That's like that Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 50 years ago. The second best time is today.
That's pretty good.
Thanks.
I've never heard that.
It was in a fortune cookie. So.
Very good. How does that pertain to a fortune, though?
Gotta start working today, Chris.
Cool.
It's gotta happen today.
I think that's it. Unless you have more.
No, I'm going to save it for next week.
All right, cool.
Well, Millennial Mondays, I can't talk. It's going to be an interesting day
It's Monday.
for me.
It sure is.
Yeah, it feels like it too. We will see you next week.